So according to our article and what this guy had said, 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀 claims that another loss to Michigan or a loss in the CFP or early exit from the CFP or them not making the CFP would warrant that Ryan Day would be on the hot seat and therefore be fired from The Ohio State University.
I can't believe 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗀 would say that. Who does he think he is?
I don't have too much to say other than I agree with them. And then I'm going to just give you some statistics. So I'm going to let y'all go in. This will be his 6th season, right? Ryan Day is 56-8. He lost the CFP championship in 2020, which was his 3rd year. He lost the Fiesta Bowl to Clemson, the Peach Bowl, and the Cotton Bowl. So in bowl games, he's 2-4. In 2019, he lost against Clemson. In 2020, it was a COVID year. They didn't play Michigan. They lost the CFP game against Bama. 2021, he lost against number 12 Oregon and number 6 Michigan. In 2022, he lost against number 3 Michigan and number 1 Oregon in the CFP. And then this past year, he lost to Michigan and he lost in the Cotton Bowl to Missouri, which I totally forgot.
Keep in mind that Oregon,
I wiped that from my memory bank.
Keep in mind that Oregon team also did not have 2 of their star players in Justin Flo and Kayvon Thibodeau. They were both sidelined that game.
Yep. So here we go. This is the 2 interesting stats of the day. If you didn't know, he's 1-3 against Michigan. But what's even more interesting is when I calculated the numbers, he's 15-8 against ranked teams all time. Hot seat. That ass is getting hotter. Pause.
Whoa.
Pause.
That's what I'm saying. This one, like, bro, you just gotta just be you, bro.
It's gonna be you, bro. But y'all know what I'm saying. 15-8 against ranked teams is nasty work. You can't do that in this position. But I'll let y'all go in. That's all the information that I have for you today. Paul, I actually agree with you once. You old bastard.
You Q-tip looking motherfucker, you. I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, dude's been on the hot seat for how many years now? Again, I mean, everything you mentioned, 15-8 against ranked teams, all this stuff. He was living on. He being Ryan Day was kind of living on borrowed time. And what I mean by that is he had a lot of Urban Meyer's kids left, which gave a lot of the success and gave into the playoffs. You have to look at, the loss against Georgia in the recent the recent playoffs last time they were, of a missed field goal, which that just broke my heart at this point. You look at that. You look at the 1-3 against Michigan, and again, that win was with Urban Meyer's kids, not his own kids. I mean, yeah, I agree with 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗀. If they can't make it far in the playoffs, if they can't beat Michigan, I mean, I think if they can't beat Michigan, I don't even know if you can. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But if they have another loss and then lose to Michigan, I don't even know if they'll be able to make the 12-team playoffs. So if that happens, if they don't have one of the top 4 seedings and they don't have a bye week, if they lose, I'd say if they don't make it to
their schedule is high risk, high reward this year, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Say if they don't make it to final 6. Well, no, because that would be. I think if they don't make it to the final 4, that calls for firing. I mean, you're living off of. You're living off of talent and the transfer portal. Again, Will Howard is very talented. You're living off of, the run game's going to be great because you hired Chip Kelly, who is excellent at coordinating a run game. Brian Hartline always never fails to get you the number 1 wide receivers in these classes. So you've been given everything. You just can't go out and lose this. And again, You look at the game against Notre Dame. You won that because Notre Dame had 10 defensive players in that final drive on the goal line, one of them being a defensive lineman. So it doesn't take rocket science to go, all right, we're just going to run the ball to the weak side of the field where that defensive lineman's missing. Especially on the goal line when you've only got like 3 yards to go. So by then, the free offensive lineman is just pushing the linebackers back, and they're like, hey, free room, take it. So it's very interesting. And again, with that Oregon loss, that was without, that was still when Mario was there. That was without Kayvon Thibodeau. That was without Justin Flo. I mean, Michigan, that was just terrible run game defense. Georgia missed kick, which, you were able to keep up. And then once you lost Marvin Harrison Jr., it was not good by then. Missouri, they had a lot of defensive players, not playing because they were getting ready for the draft. I mean, besides Chris Abrams-Drain, good chunk of the rest of the defensive players weren't playing in that bowl game. And you also had a different quarterback playing as well, like their third stringer for Ohio State. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's not. They've been able to benefit off of having a weak schedule besides Michigan. And again, kind of like you said, this is a high risk, high reward. Now that you're adding Oregon into this, you're adding Michigan, Penn State, who knows what they're going to look like. So every game is basically going to be fighting for this dude's job.
Yeah.
I don't think he can can't lose an easy one this year.
Not at all. I mean, Sora, you made a great point with having some of Urban's recruits to start off his tenure in Columbus, and
because I genuinely felt like it was the kids coaching that.
Yeah, there's a lot of question as to Day's, I guess, how much credit he should be getting for the success of not just the team but the offense, especially with Brian Hartline there. The way that he's coached up and recruited with that wide receiver room, which has generally been the strength of that team over the last few years, and especially while Day has been there. So, there's some people I know are more Hartline believers than Ryan Day believers, but when it matters most, like when Day's back is against the wall, right? Like when you have a playoff game on the line, it happens each time against Michigan at the end of the season. Since 2021, he's lost, right? Like 2021, you lose to Oregon, in week 2, you climb your way back into the top 4, and with a berth, not just in the Big Ten championship on the line, but probably a playoff berth on the line, right? You lose 42-27 in 2021. In 2022, right? You're starting off strong. You're the number 2 team in the country. In 2022, you play Michigan again, and you lose 45-23, right? So again, back against the wall, and he doesn't get it done. Now, they were blessed, with another chance, another crack at the playoffs, right?
Stay blessed.
Where, after that loss in 2022, they stayed, in the top 4 and played Georgia, but they lost by 1. And then this past year, right? Undefeated going into their game against Michigan, right? They're the number 2 team in the country. They were in the top 6 the entire season. Backs up against the wall, right? Win, and you're essentially in. They lose by 6. So when it matters most, these last few years, Ryan Day hasn't been able to get it done. I mean, you look at the last 2 years as well. The only ranked teams in 2022 and 2023, the only ranked teams that Ryan Day and Ohio State have beaten are named Penn State and Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. That is it. Now, you go back to 2021, right? They lost to Oregon, and then they played Penn State and Purdue and Michigan State, right, in the regular season, who all were ranked as well. So, they had some more ranked wins in there, and they thrashed Michigan State that year. But, these last couple of years especially, Ryan Day just hasn't been able to get it done. And at a certain point, when do you sit here and realize, like, we can't beat our biggest rival, which has been a constant roadblock to not only get into the playoffs, but the Big Ten championship game, and realize that, the talent we have should be should be enough to at least compete in these games. When you lose by 20 points 2 out of the last 3 years, I mean, against your biggest rival in the most consequential game of your season, dude, that's like that should not be acceptable. Whether Ohio State or like, I don't know, like Kennesaw State, like, I don't know, like if you aren't getting it done when it matters most, you should probably move on. Now, granted, we've talked about this roster as one of the top 3 rosters in college football, right? With Oregon and like Georgia or something. So there's really no excuse. You have the Jimmies and Joes, right? You have the guys, you know, I mean, I guess just like what y'all been saying, I agree with Feinbaum here. He absolutely has to be on the hot seat. He hasn't been getting it done. And this year, no excuses. You have to. Yes, you play Oregon, right? But you have to get it done this year. If you don't, right, like making the playoffs is going to be easier this year. So I don't think that should be like, oh, he made the playoffs, let's give him another year. I think they have to make it.
If he don't with this roster, ooh, my goodness.
Oh my goodness. If he fails to make the playoffs with this roster, he's absolutely toast. He should be fired, you know, the day that last game ends, right? The day they're eliminated from playoff contention, he should be fired. Now, I think that they need to win at least. I think they need to make it to the semifinals, right? If they have a first round bye, they need to win that quarterfinal game. If for some reason they don't win the Big Ten, right, and they're seeded 5 through 12 somewhere in there, they got to win the first 2. They have to make it to the semifinals.
They have to make it to the Final Four.
Yep. I mean,
and you know, to Ryan's point, Ryan Day is going at the end of the year. Chip Kelly will be promoted. You preach to the choir, man, because wasn't Bill O'Brien was there before they got Chip Kelly, and when that happened, I said that Bill O'Brien is there to replace him, bro. There's nothing that you can tell me that if he doesn't mess up, that they can just go and say, oh, well, Bill O'Brien was a coach somewhere else. He was under Coach Belichick, blah, 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 blah. The dude knows how to coach players. He had success with the Texans. And this whole thing about like Chip Kelly doesn't want to coach or doesn't want to recruit. You're telling me right now that you wouldn't want to be the head coach of Ohio State University right now.
Correct.
With Brian Hartline recruiting the best wide receivers in the country.
Offensive coordinator. Like, it's a very natural progression.
You can teach him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like if Day is gone, Chip Kelly takes a step up, and Hartline gets a promotion to offensive coordinator, which I know a lot of people before the initial hiring of Bill O'Brien, a lot of people wanted and thought that Hartline would be that offensive coordinator, right? But we know Bill O'Brien gets hired. Ross Bjork, their new athletic director, gets hired from A&M, and then his first move is to replace Bill O'Brien with Chip Kelly, you know, the former head coach at UCLA. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense for Chip Kelly to do this, and you know, maybe it's a sign that either look, if you have a successful season at Ohio State, you're probably going to get a natty, right? Either Chip Kelly gets a natty, or he gets to be the head coach of one of the premier programs in the country with a loaded roster.
Pretty much.
That's a win-win to me.
And you go back to the, like how you were mentioning earlier, Khalid, with the, you know, all the talent in the wide receiver room. Ryan Day was hired for the 2019 season. Brian Hartline was there in the 2017. So Brian Hartline was already there recruiting wide receivers before, and then Ryan Day. But just looking at the wide receivers alone, 2019, you had Paris Campbell, Terry McLaurin. 2020, KJ Hill. You know,
I just wanted to let y'all know.
These are all the guys that were drafted.
I just wanted to let y'all know. When people talk about players that I was wrong about, I want y'all to put Terry McLaurin on the list of people that I was right about.
Oh yeah.
Don knows. I was waving the Terry McLaurin flag. I said, hold up now. You forgot about my boy. All right, go ahead.
No,
that was Ryan Day's guy.
You know, and then 2022, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, the 10th and 11th pick. So 2 first-rounders back-to-back picks. 2023, obviously, Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then recently this year, Marvin Harrison Jr. We look at the guys getting ready to be drafted in Emmanuel Abuka. We'll see what Jeremiah Smith Jr. looks like. It's just there's always been a lot of talent. And again, Justin Fields was another one that was up there. I know he was on a wide receiver, but still. I mean, they've had talents. They've had the Urban Meyer kids. He just hasn't been able to get it done, and it's just
Can't get
it's
it done, brother.
every season.
There can't be any more excuses for him. I mean,
There's absolutely none.
Yeah, especially if you lose to Michigan again with the state that program's in, and especially the direction I think it's going to be in this year.
If
that
they
is
lose,
the nail in the
if they
coffin.
lose to Michigan, where is what stadium is Ohio State Michigan at this year? Who's the home team for that one?
I think it's Ohio State this year.
Never mind that. I was going to say, if it was at Michigan, and if they lose that,
Ohio
Ryan Day
State,
needs to just.
yes, the game.
I was going to say Ryan Day just needs to stay at Ann Arbor.
That was the biggest thing last year, like why people were giving him a scapegoat. Oh, you had to go and play Michigan at Ann Arbor.
Yeah, well, your quarterback threw an interception and automatically put Michigan in the red zone, and then threw a game-losing interception in the final drive. So
it's because they were stealing.
Cry me an Effingham River, all right? Kyle McClure was not good, and Ryan Day is not good.
Everybody, I don't know why everybody hates Cliff and Chip so much, man. I hate to see it. I think
What,
they're
Cliff
not bad
Kingsbury
coaches.
and Chip Kelly?
I think their second tenure around is going to be much better than their first. But Cliff did the right thing. He did the absolute right thing of going back to college and showing what he's got there under a guy like Lincoln Riley. I think he's gonna be all right. But yeah, I mean, if you guys didn't get the point that Ryan Day's gonna be on the damn hot seat this year, I don't know what you was listening to.
Although I feel like we've also been set up for failure because if this dude wins the national championship, it's going to be another Lou Holtz situation.
He's a cockroach.
It's going to be another Lou Holtz situation. It's going to be like, who does Paul Feinbaum think he is? I can't believe he said that.
Who the Feinbaum think he is?
Yeah, I'm like, I just want to know, where's Lou Holtz right now? Who does he think? I can't believe he
Mark
said
Man,
that.
Lou Holtz. I used to love that was the only time ESPN was good, is when, the college football day was almost over. They got some Mountain West games going on that you don't care about, and you listening to Mark and Man, Lou Holtz argue with each other.
R.I.P. to the Mountain West, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, he said that. I'm like, brother, there were 10 defensive players there. You best be sending a prayer to the man upstairs for that one, brother.
Come to the Patreon.
And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you're always notified.
All right. Well, the 12. Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. At this point, like, bro, you just gotta just be you, bro.
Just be you, bro.